Hi, in two videos I will talk about some interesting properties of what I call expansive self-maps of compact metric spaces. The definition is that the distance in the image is at least equal to the distance in the domain. In other words, the inverse map is a weak contraction. The lemma says that if you start with any point in your space and then you repeatedly plug the values into f, the sequence that you obtain will have a subsequence that converges to x0. Okay, now that you've thought a little bit about it and found out that it's quite surprising, let's get to the proof. The proof depends on the correct translation of what it means for a sequence to not have a subsequence that converges to 0. And that translation is coming up right now. So if xn had no subsequence convergent to x0, then there would exist some epsilon positive. There would exist a capital N, which I call a cutoff, such that for every n, if it's bigger than capital N, then distance of xn from x0 is at least epsilon. So that means the tail of the sequence beyond the cutoff n never comes close to x0. Once you agree with this, then let's consider a new subsequence. I call it k. I put kn here. K goes from 1 to infinity. Now the claim is for every k prime natural numbers, if k is not equal to k prime, then distance of x k capital N and x k prime n is at least epsilon. So this epsilon is from above. How do you prove this claim? Let's just try. So kn x k prime n. If I didn't make a stupid mistake in the indexing, this is exactly applying f kn many times to x0 and then applying f k prime n many times to x0. Now for the first time I'm using the property of f, which is if you drop one f from each, you get a smaller distance. So if I just subtract 1 here and I apply x0, and then here if I subtract 1, if I get this, okay, if f to power 0 means just don't apply any f. And if I repeat this game and successively remove one f from each one of them, first this second one will run out of any f's in it. And how many have I removed from this one? That will be precisely k minus k prime times n. But because k minus k prime times n is beyond the cutoff by the choice of n, this is bigger than epsilon, and that proves the claim. What does this mean then? This shows that this subsequence yk, where yk is just xkn, so this is indexed by k, has no convergent subsequence. But that is a contradiction. And with what? But this contradicts compactness of K, because in a compact metric space, any subsequence has some convergent subsequence. And this is not the case for YK, therefore that's a contradiction. And the lemma is proved. So some subsequence will go back and revisit x0 again and again. I'm gonna end with an example, and for this example I want to focus on k equal s1, which is the boundary of the disk, not the interior. You fix some real number alpha between 0 and pi, and then f is rotation by alpha much. So f applied to any number is just any point on the circle means rotated by alpha. Then f satisfies the definition of expansiveness. Indeed, f is just an isometry, and in the follow-up video we will see that that is expected. And what happens then? So you fix some x0, and then you go forward by alpha much to x1. Another alpha much maybe puts you here. Another alpha much maybe gets you here. And then you keep doing this. So this becomes alpha 4, and then you keep going. Now there are two cases. Either in finite time you will fall back on the sequence. For example, x of 72 will be exactly x0. And from that point, you have to repeat the exact same jumps. And then in 144, you will again reach this point back. That's one case. And in this case, we see that there is definitely a subsequence which converges to x0. And in this case, constantly approaches it. Or this becomes a dense subset of the circle. I've done a video on this with alpha equal to 1, and it has applications to what this sequence looks like. I'll put that in the description, please check that. And in this case, again, we see that the sequence comes back and revisits x0 again and again because the sequence is actually dense around x0 as well. So there is the follow-up video 2 out of 2 coming your way, so please watch out for that. If you have not subscribed to the channel, especially you should then at this point, because you don't want to miss that one.